Cathy was feeling a little overwhelmed. It was at this point that she realized that she had a hand in her husband's health problems. Although she wasn't the complete cause, she was shocked that Robert had become pre-diabetic, had a weight problem that was a bigger problem than she suspected, and his blood pressure. She was just overwhelmed. Hello, I am Joseph. This is Input English. Let's continue with our story as Cathy tries to wrap her head around what she needs to do to help Robert get his health back. She was hard on herself, realizing that she indeed had a hand in his development of these problems, although her contribution was small compared to all that fast food that he ate at lunchtime when he goes to work. But she didn't want to get overwhelmed by grief and guilt. She wanted to move forward. She had been reading every day from the list of resources provided by Dr. Ferguson. She had been poring over that information, so her information gathering was going rather well. She opened a kitchen cabinet and saw a box of macaroni and cheese. Now, Cathy had been serving macaroni and cheese to her family about once a week for several years. They called it comfort food. They said it was very cozy and delicious, and they liked it. So she read the nutritional panel on the box to see just what this box contained and how it might impact Robert's health problems. She also is considering how this kind of food could impact her boys because they're developing eating habits, and what she serves them is going to influence their food choices going forward. As she read the nutritional panel on the back of the box, she was horrified. It was loaded with sodium, loaded with saturated fat, and almost completely devoid of fiber. It was pretty clear to her it didn't contain any antioxidants either. She now considered this box of ultra-processed food as really part of the problem. With that, she threw it in the garbage. Now she has to find something that will be delicious that she can serve instead of that ultra-processed food. Cathy went back to the internet. She also had the handout provided by Dr. Ferguson. She wanted to find a nutritional substitute for the macaroni and cheese, and she found a recipe for a multigrain, multi-bean vegetable soup that looked delicious. She printed the recipe. She would be going to the grocery store. As she looked at Dr. Ferguson's handout, she was thinking that she needed to find something that was a little victory for her to help her with her guilt feelings, because going forward, she needs to address these issues. She saw the listing for a YouTube channel called the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show. And then underneath that reference on the handout was a note from Dr. Ferguson that said this channel has the best salad dressings he has ever had. So on her laptop, she found the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show YouTube channel. She saw that that channel is run by Jill Dalton, and that Jill and her husband have embraced a whole food, plant-based eating plan. She found Jill very easy to relate to. She was very reassured by each of these videos, and she watched several of them. She needs a good salad dressing, and she'd like to serve a salad for dinner tonight, but she'd like to avoid the processed food commercially available salad dressings. So she needs a delicious dressing. Let's see if Dr. Ferguson is correct. She found Jill's recipe for French dressing and printed out that recipe. She watched the video on how to make it, and it looked very straightforward. So now she's added those items to her shopping list. She also noted that Jill had a recipe called a classic vegan meatloaf that looked interesting. Now, Cathy wasn't sure whether it would be any good, and she wasn't sure that the family would like it, but she is going to make it and try it. But then she thought, baby steps. I don't need to do all of this in one day. I need to give myself a little breathing room here. So let me do one thing today, and that's going to be this salad dressing. She printed the classic vegan meatloaf recipe so that she could make that on another day. Today she would just have chicken, roasted broccoli, the soup that she's going to make, and the salad with the new salad dressing. Now, Cathy was a little cautious because she didn't know how this salad dressing was going to turn out. So her plan was to make it for her own lunch. Soon, Cathy was off to the store, obtained all the items on her shopping list, and started to prepare the soup in a slow cooker, as well as the salad dressing, the French dressing from the recipe by Jill Dalton. Once the soup was on to cook, it was fire and forget. She didn't have to deal with that until it was done. Well, she did have to cut up some vegetables and throw them in, but that could be done later. She quickly made the French dressing from the recipe and then put together her salad for her lunch. It was lunchtime. What she discovered is this salad dressing was the best salad dressing she's had in years. This is the victory she needed. This was a dressing she could serve to her family and be proud of it. Looking at what's in that salad dressing, there was nothing bad. It was all good food. As she finished her lunch, that salad with the new dressing, she started to smell the aroma of the soup that she had put in the slow cooker. That reminded her that it was time to cut up a few vegetables to go in that soup and make it richer. She realized that this satisfied her sense for creativity because she could add anything to this soup she wanted. What should she put in? How about a little tomato paste? That'll give it some color and a little bit of richness, and then maybe some celery and some onion and zucchini and carrots. She had a lot of things that she could put in this soup to make it better, to make it interesting. And then she stopped and realized, what about the salt? What am I going to do for salt? Because Robert shouldn't add salt, and he's probably going to be pretty alarmed by this salt-free soup I'm making. What am I going to do? Oh, yes, the salt substitute. She had purchased some potassium chloride salt substitute, so she could use that. And then the other thing she had read about is putting a little bit of miso paste in the soup before she served it. Miso is a funny condiment because it has some salt in it, but evidence shows that it really won't hurt you. And the salt in miso doesn't really make hypertension worse. So she was going to take the advice of Dr. Greger and others and go ahead and use miso to make this soup even better. Later, the boys got home, Robert got home, and pretty soon it was time for dinner. She put the chicken on to roast, and soon dinner was ready. She started with the salad. She wanted to see how the boys and Robert responded to this new salad dressing, and she did not tell them anything about it. She didn't tell them it was vegan. She didn't tell them it was healthy. She acted as if it had come out of a bottle. All three of them commented how delicious the salad dressing was. That reassurance was super helpful to Cathy because she wasn't sure if this was going to fly, but this kind of reassurance really helped her. Her next step was the soup, which she had tasted, and it was simply delicious. Again, she didn't tell them that she was cooking really healthy, wonderful soup. She didn't say that it was vegan. She just said it was soup. They ate it enthusiastically. At the end of the day, after the boys had gone to bed, she explained to Robert what she was doing. She told Robert that the new plan for helping him with his health challenges and also to make sure that the boys grow up healthy and strong is now entitled Baby Steps. Her plan is to improve their diet on a daily basis, just doing a little bit better each day, each day, each day. So it's not going to be a radical change in eating behavior. She doesn't plan a restrictive diet. She just is going to, day after day, improve the food she provides to the family. Her program, entitled Baby Steps. If you like stories like this one, be sure to click on this video next. See you soon.